first time in my life. March 2006, private plane, incidentally, awesome. Touched down in La Jolla, California. My family and I live there now permanently. May of 2006, I did the Annihilation Method launch with Neil Strauss, bought my dream home, began surfing, created the dream business, and started to become a little bit aware of this increased ease of influence that was happening. I was just like, you know, things have gotten significantly easier here. Damn, I didn't put two and two together about this exercise until like years later. I'm a little slow. My personal income for that period, post September 2005, when I did the exercise I'm going to share with you, $1.5 million. Wow. I was really stoked, considering it was just me, and I was moving my family. Imagine doing all that. Like, moving cross country is stressful enough, right? So not only was I able to locate a new place, sell my house, move my entire family, move my immediate family, leave all of our relatives and everything, home we grew up in, move to a new city, all the stress and pressure and all that, still managed to somehow make 1.5 million bucks. Wow. Here's what the end result looks like today. All the non-fun businesses, just turned them off. All right? Some folks that are here are clients of some of the businesses that I didn't really enjoy very much. For example, my Ultra Underachievers class taught niche marketing. I got to the point where I just ran out of stuff to teach. It's like, well, I don't really know how many other ways I can find out what people want and sell it to you, so what am I going to do now, you know? So I just turned it off to eliminate the stress of trying to come up with like new rehash stuff. Gone, pressure gone. All the non-fun customers gone. See you later. Thank you. May you live your life forever in peace. I hope you find happiness eternally. Today I get paid a fortune, literally just obnoxious amounts of money. I almost don't want to tell anybody because I'm afraid that they'll like go, oh, damn, dude, I'm sorry, that was a mistake. You're supposed to make like $7 an hour. To essentially make admittedly stupid yet fun videos with and for my friends and help people get rich by helping others. It's my job now. I essentially goof off, tell jokes with my weirdo friends, and get paid a fortune for it, which is great. I'm now a cash multimillionaire, which is multiple times cooler than being a cash $1 millionaire. Pretty neat. And I get to surf more, which is awesome. Perhaps, well, actually not remotely the best outcome of this, but a significant one is now within my market, I have effortless influence in the income that I make within my market and my community. I do so effortlessly, without stress, without drama, without convincing, without arm twisting. Very few people get pissed off when I send them emails and try to sell them stuff, which is outstanding. So, before we begin, we know, do you agree with me that on any level at all that goals and things and stuff are irrelevant in the big picture for our overall contentment and happiness in life? Yes? Show hands? Yeah? Cool. All right. We know that our brain tries to convince us. Well, our subconscious knows better, but our brains try to convince our subconscious that these trivial things matter. And I think in doing so, what happens is we create this internal struggle that inhibits our ability to actually get anything done. So if you're like trying to sell, I'm a nice person, you should be healthy, and then you like really just want to live in Vegas and do a bunch of blow with hookers and stuff, it's going to really be difficult to sell the I'm Mr. Nice Guy, let's all be healthy business. Extreme examples, but it's the easiest to understand, right? You understand, like, you get how that would be hard when you have that internal struggle. You can dress right, look healthy, say the right stuff. It's just not going to work out. People might buy your stuff, but you're going to like, be miserable. It'll blow. So what we want to do is we want to align our brains and subconsciousness, which we're going to do today. All right, we can all breathe a sigh of relief because this ends the somewhat weird, heavy-duty, conceptual stuff. You know what? That's not even remotely true. It's still going to be a little bit weird and heavy-duty and conceptual, but a little bit easier to follow now. All right, here's how it is. I figured out, maybe, the equation on a very basic level of how all this stuff works. I would like you to remember my earlier disclaimer that I'm not a psychologist, I don't know anything about it, and no one should really listen to me ever for any reason. But if you were to listen to me, this is what I would tell you. The formula is E plus I equals L. All right? E stands for experience. I think we can all agree now that we don't really want the stuff. All right? Even Rich earlier said, like in the first part of his presentation yesterday, after thinking for so long that internet entrepreneurs wanted the money, do you remember? What do they really want? Freedom. Right. What is freedom? Experience. We don't want the stuff, we want the experience. And then we want the experience that the things give us. Starting to get a little heavy, stay with me here. I stands for identity. Our experience, beliefs, and values create our identity. You can actually have those experiences externally, such as I'm now playing baseball and all that kind of stuff, or you can have them internally while you're daydreaming, running the beer commercials in your mind. But that plus beliefs and values creates our inner identity. So the L is life. And I believe that experience plus identity equals life. They work together, I guess, to form our lives, or at least our concept or perception of what our lives are. All right. Here's the big aha. What we all want, me, you, everybody else, is a new life. We don't want the stuff. We want the new life. And this is not at all remotely given to you from the perspective of, so now you all need to go out and change your lives forever. There's not, as far as I know, there's nothing wrong with your lives, right? Isn't that funny how it's like, today's going to change your life, and everyone's like, yay! And then you're like, no one ever says it's going to change it for the worse. Like, what if it sucks? Like, we're going to change your life. Yeah, because we're going to cut off your left foot, you know? So, shit, it was pretty good to start with, all right? So I'll illustrate it. When a family buys a new home, they're not buying brick and mortar and shingles and carpet and stuff. They're buying that new life that they'll experience in the home, right? They don't want the home, they want the new life. Very basic thing. I believe that applies on some fundamental level to every single thing that is sold ever. Some part of your brain is saying, is this going to move me towards or away from my core identity? All of us, mine, yours, all the rest of the world out there. That's the way it works. So, here's how to create a new life. First of all, when I told you about that whole 9-month experience I had, would anyone like to experience something similar? Yes. Cool. You never know, right? Some people might be like, no, I'm happy. The bank's nice. They've got health benefits. Shut up. Get a haircut. So, what makes you think I haven't already? All right. Sorry, that was not intended for this audience. Let's see. If we all live an average of 40 more years, you know, give or take, I guess on average all of us in this room might live another 40 more years, and we're going to live 14,600 more days, starting now from today. All right, now if you look at what a life is, it's really made up of individual days, right? Remember we said our experiences really shape our lives, our experiences and identity. Well, you get the experience from every single day, okay? So, I believe that if we want to find out truly what this core identity we have within us is, and we want to learn how to identify it in other people, we have to create the ideal day. We have to identify what the perfect day in our lives would be. See, typically it's like, well, what do you want your ideal life to be? And it's like, well, I live in this big house and I got a Ferrari and all that stuff, and so it's okay, but it's the individual day that holds the key to what you truly want, what we all truly want. When I say you, I'm not like preaching at you at all. Like, forget me, you know, it's us. We're all collective. So here it is. It's a lot of buildup leading up to this one question, right? Good Lord, I've been here for like 3 hours. When I told you I did this exercise in September of 2005, the entire exercise was to simply answer this one question. If there were no limitations or consequences, what would your perfect average day look like? If there were no limitations or consequences, what would your perfect average day look like? Not that heavy, right? Now we're into the dangerously New Age stuff. But we are no longer going to talk about weird conceptual heavy stuff, which is cool. Okay, language is very powerful. So let me dissect the question for you. When I say limitations, I mean if we had no financial, geographic, health limitations or limiting people. So if like a perfect day, your idea of a perfect day is you wake up on the beach in Hawaii and you live in Macon, Georgia. Well, let's pretend that there are no geographic locations, right? Let's pretend that we've got all the money we could possibly want. If you can't, if your perfect day is to wake up and go surfing and, you've got a broken leg, let's pretend that your leg is not broken, right? Easy stuff. If you have limiting people in your life and your perfect day is to be away from those limiting people, let's just say you got away from them. Pew. Consequences is important. That's stuff that could get you into trouble. So it might be tempting to say, my perfect day involves waking up, drinking a liter of vodka, going and racing my Formula One car to be followed by a cocaine binge with a truckload of hookers. That will kill you. Okay, so I don't think realistically that is your perfect average day. All right? And finally, I use the word average. It's very important that you really get the language right in this. You could do it every day and not get sick of it or get killed. Average, everyday stuff. Now you might be thinking, well, never mind, I should just show you this. So, it's like a 400-part question, really. But it's still 2 easy steps, all right? Step 1, build a giant house. Step 2, walk through the door, When you think of this perfect day, it's important not to think about stuff, all right? We're going for experience. That's why the question is framed around a day. If you say life, you think about stuff, right? We all do. We think about the big mansions and the cars and the jets and all that stuff. So where would you live in this perfect day? You don't have to write all this stuff down. It's normal questions, right? What would your house look like? Would it be clean inside? What would it smell like? What time would you wake up? What would you do in the morning? What would you think about in the morning? What would you say? What are your first words of the day? What are your first thoughts of the day? It's vitally important to drill down to this seemingly mundane, weird stuff. And when you do this exercise, I don't expect you to do it now because it took me, I'm a little bit slow, but it took me 4 hours to do it. I had literally, 11 or 12 pages. It's the answer to the question. What would you have for breakfast? Mundane, but still, if you got a certain thing you like to eat, don't like to eat, place you like to go. I got as specific as to drill down into mundane stuff like what I was thinking about when I took the children to school, and what I was thinking about when I dropped them off, and what I was thinking about when I got home. The more detailed you get about this, the more clear you become, and the more profound your outcome will be. Where would you spend the first half of your day? Would you go to yoga? Right? That's what my wife does. Every day, yoga. I got to say, I'm a big fan. I like that. There's a lot of benefits to that thing, Hey, wow, this is great. Well, she could go to wrestling or something, I guess maybe that would be cool too, now that we think about it. What would you have for lunch? Seriously, what would you have for lunch? Who would you eat with? What would your friends be like? All right, when I answered this question, I rewrote the behavior of my friends. I believe the specific answer was, we have a healthy lunch at a good place. It's got fresh food that we enjoy. Our conversation is not about idle gossip, but more of a celebration of the fun we've had earlier in the day and since the last time we saw each other. So what we talk about, what are your friends like? The perfect day. So imagine another way to frame this question is if whatever you write down, you have to live that day, every day for the rest of your life. It's another way to look at it, okay? What would you do for personal fulfillment? Okay? I've tried, and you can't screw off all the time. You'll end up wanting to do something for personal fulfillment. What life purpose would you strive towards? That's a big one. Try to answer it honestly, because you might find, like I did, your answer is dramatically different from what all of your energy and time is focused on right now. If it is, you got a serious mismatch, and that blows, and it's going to come across in every presentation you do. What would your business be? What time would you start work? What would you actually do at work? All right? For mine, it was coming up with evil schemes. The use of the word evil there is not really very nice sounding, so I'd define an evil scheme as just something fun instead of jest. What are your clients like? What's your relationship like with your spouse and your family? I wrote mine down. What do you and your kids talk about? What's that like? Not like we like each other, but why? What fun stuff do you do? What do you like about each other? What does your spouse like about you? What do your children appreciate within you? You have to live this day every day, forever, every day. Just imagine Osama's got the button on the destroy the world, or his finger on the destroy the world button. If you deviate from this day at all, he's going to press it. Okay, so you got to live it every day. Why I put this under the really big stuff, I don't know. I guess that's a reflection of where my mind is, right? Dinner is family stuff, though, right? I mean, it is my house, so would you have dinner with your family? Would you go out? Whatever. What would you like to eat? Who would you eat with? What would you talk about? What would you do at night? Who would you do it with? I think we might have just had a little Beavis and Butthead moment there. I said, who would you do it with at night? But, what would you... And, hey, like, speaking of that, you don't have to show this to anyone, by the way, but if the whole, if the answer is dramatically different from your current situation, you should put it down. You don't have to show it with anybody. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm going to show you some of mine, though. Where would you do it? What would your thoughts be as you went to sleep? That's a big one for me. What are you going to think about? Those last conscious moments of the day. Where's your mind? Where is it now? Go to bed worried about stuff? You go to bed thinking about where the next sales come from? Or, what's going to happen if Google slaps you? It blows. That's no fun. I've done that. It's awful. All right. So, all this build-up for one little question. Sounds any hokey? Yeah? Maybe? Raise your hands if you're like, dude, all this for one stupid question? What the hell? One dude? Thank you for really being honest. I would never have raised my hand. Right? I'd be like, no, man, it's fine. Really, it's cool. I would have never, ever, I really agonized over whether or not I should present this right now. Because typically, it's like, I do these things, and I rarely do them, and I tell some jokes, and, disguise content as entertainment most of the time. And it goes over very well, and then people say, we really enjoyed that, and I get to go home, and it was fine, right? But I was hoping I could really contribute back to my community today, so that's why I'm here. So, I did the exercise. Did not do it as this, I want to develop and identify my inner core stuff. Had anyone presented the exercise to me in that presentation, I would have never done it. I just said, yeah, whatever, shut up. I just did it because I was miserable and every day sucked, and I was like, well, okay, what the hell do I want to do? And I was like, well, let's pretend. Perfect day, right? Now check this out. Indy and I wake up with the sun and laugh about funny things our children did as we watch the day break over the ocean. Incidentally, the reason I'm giving you this presentation today is because I moved from one office to the other after my mass control launch. I moved into an office closer to the beach, and I found the piece of paper, actually the notebook with all the answers in it. And I started reading it, and I had this big aha moment. So I dug it out, and here are the answers to some of my questions. So the first one is, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? What are you thinking about? Whatever. That was my answer. Check this out. That's the view from my bedroom. Can you believe that? None of this was planned for me, okay? It just happened. That's the first thing I see. when I look out the window. That's it. Ta-da! Weird. I'm starting to think this might not be so much bullshit. Okay, but I need lots of convincing, so I'm going to assume that you do too. In the morning, we're excited to get outdoors and exercise. Remember, I was 25 pounds overweight. My activity was to go eat lunch, then go to Barnes & Noble, and then go have a re-lunch. All right? I hated exercise, okay? I wrote down, though, because I wanted to have this in my ideal life, that was it. In the morning, we are excited to get outdoors and exercise. I look forward to this and view it as fun. It is not a chore or a mundane task, but a source for continued fulfillment and well-being. It's fun, and I would do it even if it wasn't good exercise. See the little dot? That's me. Christmas morning, 2007. Every day. No moss 25 pounds. Maybe it's not bullshit after all. I had never even touched a surfboard in my life when I wrote that. Never. I don't even know if I'd seen one in real life when I wrote that. In mine, I would describe the house. I told you not to focus on things, so you don't make it all about things, but if something comes up, like it did in mine, I described my home, write it down. After exercise, I take a shower. Our shower is huge and made of marble and glass. It has a bench to sit on and lots of jets, so we can both get in there. The point is to show you the shower. 6 people can get in that shower. 3 can sit on the bench, and 3 can shower under the 14 jets that are in there. The people on the bench can help if they like, or they can simply watch. It's up to them. It's marble. It's marble. It has a bench. It has multiple jets. It's the exact same thing I wrote without even consciously saying, this is what I'm setting out to do. It wasn't a goal-setting exercise. I just said, shit, this day sucks. What would a good day be? You can never really get anywhere unless you know where you're going, right? So the whole point of the exercise for me was not to have this entire life transformation. It was just to see, well, if I'm so miserable now, what is it that I actually want? So, shell versus core identity. My shell identity was motivated by things, goal-driven, status-driven. The reason I was buying the cars was because I wanted people to think I was cool, so all the people that thought I was a douchebag in high school could see how cool I was, right? Let's get honest. Okay? Get the money, get the money, get the money. Right? Zippity-doo-dah. Miserable. That was my shell identity, though. So common on some variation with all of us. The core identity was I truly didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. I wanted to leave normal society, live at the beach, cultivate an ideal lifestyle, and get paid to have fun and contribute to others by doing so. What do you know about that? Huh. What's this got to do with making money, which is the whole point of the conference? Well, I didn't give you all the stuff that I wrote down. Remember when I said describe what you do at work, when you go to work, where you go to work, and all that stuff? Check this out. In describing my business, at the time, my business was a really big part of my identity. It's not so much, but I described what I wanted it to be. I wrote down, my business is fun and easy. My main function is to simply come up with cool ideas that help me and my clients make tons of money without being obnoxious about it. It works so well that I'm able to generate a huge income from only a small amount of sales. Huh, okay. Check this out. My customers are cool, fun, and low stress. I actually enjoy interacting with them. And if I were to encounter them on the street, I'd be happy to see them and would not walk the other way. Complete 180 from the life I was living and my mentality regarding my customers at the time. I think, well, that's a nice sounding title, isn't it? Since I did the exercise, September of 2005, generated almost $31 million in revenues for myself and my clients. And by clients, I just mean the dudes I did stuff directly for. God knows what the people I've taught have made. We don't even count that. Right now, my business, one of them, is on pace this year alone to pay me close to $2 million in passive residual income if I never sell another product all year. Are you starting to believe me now when I say, please don't buy anything from me? I'm not here to say I'm doing okay. Okay? Because this is on video, I didn't want to use people's real names, so I used their nicknames. Mahler is a friend of mine. I see him regularly. He's the first person to ever recognize me in public. He's my friend, and he was one of my customers. As is Fizzle. Butter and Gypsy and Fizzle Mahler, see him very regularly, some almost every day. Customers. Hang out with these people. I went to Mahler's wedding and wanted to. How many times did you actually want to go to somebody's wedding? I was like, dude, this is going to be killer. All right, wanted to go. Magic Ryan, Rabelbowski. Friends of mine, these are all people who were customers, who fell into the previously dreaded, God help us all, if any of these people ever call me on the phone or find out where I live, category. Right? Customers. About 3 days ago, no, not 3 days, 3 weeks ago, I was leaving the new office, rode my new exotic vehicle, which is a Sector 9 skateboard. It cost me about $100. Rode it down to the beach to check the waves. Hanging out. Decided it was pretty good. I was going to go out and get in the water. I hear this, hey, is your name Frank? Look over. It's this girl and a couple dudes. The girl was pretty good looking, too. I was like, just keeps getting better. And I said, yes, it is. Turns out they were customers. Just happened to be in my neighborhood at my beach. Either that or they were psychotic stalkers. I'm going to hope that they were customers, right? I was glad to see them. Previous life, I would have been horrified, mortified. You know what's cool? They didn't hassle me. They're like, oh, dude, you going surfing? Sweet. Yeah, we're in your class. We're just making some videos down here. Have fun. Awesome, right? Check this out. Since I got here in Orlando, I arrived Thursday, hang out with my buddy Johnny, 2 random, unsolicited, just happenstance emails from new mass control students, one with a video attached where he made $25,000 in 4 hours, the other saying he brought in $90,000 in 1 week. Does that sound like a little bit of a transformation to you guys from circumstance? All right. Would everyone please stand? Want to stretch a little bit or something, or jump around or whatever you're supposed to do? All right. Remain standing if having a business that pays you an obscene amount of money, where you get to do something so much fun that you think to yourself, I cannot believe I'm getting paid for this, and your customers are cool people that you actually like and who like you and you want to hang out with them, remain standing if that sounds cool. Okay? That wasn't a loaded question at all, right? Remain standing if right now you might be thinking, I like life pretty good, but I've never really sat down and thought about what an ideal day would be. I've never really considered what the perfect life would be. If I were to say to you, I have a workshop or a class or whatever where we'll walk through this process together and you will have a clear path of what you want, and based on my personal experience of what happened to me, I believe it can happen to you as well, would you be interested? Remain standing if you would be interested. Okay? Now, if I were to say this workshop costs $1,000, remain standing if you would be interested. If I were to say this workshop costs $2,000, remain standing if you would be interested. Okay? Most people are still standing. The good news is there's no workshop. This was the experience. You can sit down. This was the experience, the experiment that I was telling you about earlier. This is why I was so emphatic about telling you that I was not really trying to sell you anything. I'm not. It's a fictitious product that doesn't exist. Okay, look what just happened. I begun today's presentation by telling you under no circumstances should anyone ask me to sell them anything. Okay, that is the absolute worst sales pitch ever, right? Don't buy anything from me. Do not buy anything from me. I just got up here and talked to you guys about some of the weirdest shit you have probably heard in months, if not years, especially at an internet marketing conference, right? But what happened? With absolutely no effort at all, and without in any way at all trying to convince anyone of anything or to sell anything at all, the overwhelming majority of the room said that they would buy the stuff. Why is that? It is because I'm speaking to you now from my core identity. See, I did the exercise. I figured out the life I wanted, who I really was, who I wanted to be, stepped into that person, didn't know what was going to happen. Damn, if I'd known that, I'd have done it sooner, right? And spoke to you from that core-centered, congruent place. Because I've serviced this market for so many years, I know that you guys share the same values as me. So while your dream life may not be to live at the beach or have the marble shower that could hypothetically fit 6 people, just saying it could, that's all, I'm just saying. Or surf or whatever, grow your hair long and not give a damn. While that may not be the exact match, I do know that the core identity of this group is a group that values freedom and lifestyle and experience and contribution and overall contentment above all else. Therefore, was I communicating this entire time with your surface identity or with your core identity? Core identity. It works. Yes, it sounds very weird. Yes, I am very weird. But it works. We just proved it, that it works. Now, I know this to be fact, right? If I actually said, okay, give me the money, not everyone that was standing up would say, here's $2,000, right? Maybe half would. Still, pretty good, okay? No convincing, no being an asshole, no obnoxious stuff, no stress. All's cool. Would you like to learn how to do the same? No, thank you. Okay. Well, the second step, first of all, if you do nothing, please answer the question. Please. It will change your life. What more proof do we need? I mean, you know, the secret's out now and all that stuff. Man, even like up until a couple weeks ago, until I found the stupid piece of paper that I actually wrote, I was like, those people are such charlatans. They are full of shit. Like, what more signs do we need to say this stuff works? Okay, so whether or not you do anything at all, please just answer that question. It will do you so much good and you will be happy. Step 2, find out who your market really is. Okay. We talk about empathy a lot, right? Great salesmanship, you must have empathy. You must know how they feel, think like they think. At least convince them that you do. Yeah? Sort of the key. I believe that you must genuinely identify their core identity, know what their real desired outcome is, and know what life they really want. That's why, had I like focused this whole thing about things and money and you two are going to have a fancy watch and all that stuff, I wouldn't have had 90% of the folks in the room say, I think it was almost 100% say they give $1,000, like 90-something% said they give $2,000. That wouldn't have happened if I wasn't speaking to that core, right? So you have to figure out the core. This is critical. None of this will work if you don't do this. None of this will work if you don't do this. Lo and behold, you must actually give a damn, and you must actually help your prospects and customers move towards that core identity. If you don't care, it's not going to work. And you're not congruent with your core anyway. Critical. So if you're in a business right now and you honestly don't give a damn, you're in the wrong business. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. I've been there too, right? It's just you're not in the right business. So you've got to care, and it's got to work. You have to genuinely help people. It's kind of a weird thing to say when we're talking about helping people. Here's the weapon I use to help people. I'm touted as a good copywriter. I'm not, really. It's nice to hear. Thank you. Not a good salesman at all. I can't even put on a decent pair of, can't even wear shoes. You know, not a good salesman. Not a marketing genius. I had to buy, no, you know, don't go taking my trademark, damn it. I'll take you out. Okay? I think I got all that reputation and stuff. People say, oh, Kern, good Lord, man, the guy's got the voodoo. Especially right now, because I just did this big launch and mass control and all that stuff. Yeah, wow, this guy's killer, right? Well, if you look back, I really just do a good job of selling to the internet marketing crowd, specifically. Okay? It's not like I couldn't write copy for refrigerators or something. Couldn't do it, right? Yeah, so, well, really. I mean, we all know this. No one wants to come on. Let's just get it out in the open. Okay? Come on. That's all. So there's a reason why I'm really effective at selling to this market. Okay? I'm not going to tell you I can sell to every market, right? I can't. Sell really well to this one, sold okay to the dating market. Had I known this stuff in other niche markets, I would have really, really been much more effective. This is a method called the instant bond method. It is step 1 of 2 on identifying your market's core identity and learning to speak to it. Probably when I say your market, I'm doing everyone a disservice, including myself, because person-to-person selling is most effective. Like if we sit down across the table, or preferably side by side at a table, that's most likely the most effective way to sell in terms of closing the sale, right? Hard to get better than that. But we always think of marketing as we're marketing to this herd, okay? Which doesn't make sense. If selling face-to-face, and we should always think face-to-face. So when we design campaigns, we usually market to a group of people, all right? Yeah. You need to design every single piece of your marketing as if you were speaking to one person specifically. Well, I'm in a very bad situation now. I've got 3 of these bottles of water up here, all open, only one of them is mine. Very thirsty. Thank you. I don't want to have to drink after Walker. You never know what he's put in it. Well, how else do you think he's so smart? You know, it's the smart pills. Okay, hang on a minute. Am I doing good so far, by the way? Yeah? Okay, cool. Thank you. I was very, very apprehensive about trying to convey this. I think if I didn't have the photographic proof, it wouldn't have gone as well. So when you're communicating with one person, I call it the core customer. I call it that because I came up with it on the plane when I made that slide. Call this person anything you want, but this is like the core, this one person. So here's how you create that person. If you could somehow magically manifest one single person who would be the typical embodiment of a classic customer or prospect in your market, what would they be like? Male or female? It's almost like if you were to ask me to pick them out from a crowd, who would you describe, you know? How old are they? Are they married? Some folks who have been around a while might start thinking about list data when we're doing this. And that's not really what I'm getting at. I want you to instead of thinking about demographics, we want to think about the life of this person. Okay, what a typical day in their life is like who they are, not as a buyer, but as a person. Because we communicate as people. When you get into that I'm selling you the buyer stuff, it's lame. Okay? Do they have kids? Oh. What's their spouse like? The reason I asked that question and the following one, which is what does the spouse think of all this foolishness, is because we make so many decisions based on what we believe the opinions of others will be, and one of the most influential people in a household is the spouse. Except mine, where I'm totally in control all the time. It's all me all the time. Right. What's their relationship with the children like? What would this person be wearing? Would they be wearing, I don't know, a latex helmet, or would it be leather? You know, there's so many forms of headgear now. What do they do for a living? What's their biggest frustration? What's their biggest surface desire? All right? Stuff like that. So I did this exercise, and this was back when I was selling to the internet marketing crowd from the perspective of newer people just looking to make money. Yes. Okay. Don't read that because I can't fit my description of Bob on the screen. Right. So when I did this, again, this is for the beginners internet marketing crowd. I did this exercise some time ago. And I created my little dude named Bob. All right? So here's Bob. Bob is 45 years old and sells insurance. He is married with 2 children who drive him crazy. And his wife thinks he's an idiot for trying this internet stuff. He's about 25 pounds overweight and wears glasses. Wears a short-sleeved, button-down shirt, which is white, and he wears khaki pants with it. His shoes are brown leather. His biggest desire is to make enough money to quit his job, which pays him $45,000 a year. That's Bob. If you were to go right now, if we could teleport to a typical beginner's level internet marketing pitch fest seminar, that's who you'd see. Lots of Bobs at those. Not so many Bobs here. It's not that event, right? Different crowd. But that's Bob. So who is your Bob? The question you need to do is you need to identify your Bob. Cool? Now this step 1 of step 2. Great at this. Remind me sometime to become a surgeon. We're going to cut open the femoral brain lobe? No? Sorry. Okay. Just by doing this exercise, we're already halfway there to identifying your market's core identity. You're already 100% ahead of most people in the market. Everyone else is a little bit of a strong word. Because what we're doing right now is now that we know who we're writing to specifically, you can influence them on the surface. Like when I identify who Bob really is, I know that Bob is drawn to the big paycheck images. I know that Bob wants the new car, right? Because Bob's new at all this stuff. Bob is the guy that's at the insurance job, miserable. His kids are driving him crazy. The dude's coming home. He's confused. He's scared and all that kind of stuff. That's what he wants right now. Okay, so when I know that sort of stuff, we can influence them on the surface level. Surface level influence works really good. Almost everything we've ever seen is surface level. Okay? All right, so when you do this, you're better at selling to your market than most people are. Just the surface level stuff, because most folks sell to their market without really thinking about who their customer is. It's just step 1. If you stop here at step 1, you're still going to come away with a lot. All right? I sold instant internet empires based on step 1. I did $640,000. So personally, in sales on the front end, from that, the back end sales were more. According to the FTC documents, it was $640,000 anyway. Created a product called InfoMillionaire, which I really enjoyed selling. I thought it was a great product. Made around $300,000 or so from doing that. Pretty good, not bad. That thing was only up for a couple months. Made my Underachiever Mastery course, surface level influence, after identifying Bob. Bob gave me $1 million or so from it. So surface level influence with this empathy thing. A couple of years, Bob gave me around $2 million. Thank you, Bob. Now, if you want to absolutely crush it and have more influence and sales than you can stand, to the point where you actually have to say, in all seriousness, please do not buy anything from me, to a group of people with money who have proven to buy stuff from people like me, here's what you do. You become Bob, metaphorically speaking. You remember the question that I asked you to ask yourselves about your perfect average day? Well, now that you know who Bob is, it's time to pretend. You need to pretend like you are Bob. This is why I was telling you not to look at Bob like a person on a direct mail list data source. This is why we need to know the mundane things about Bob, what his kids are like, what he wears, what he does for a living. We don't care if Bob has an American Express card with $10,000 on it. We don't care about that marketing data. We want personal data. Okay? You step into Bob's shoes and you run the little magic question, effortless transformation 2000 exercise as if you were Bob. Are you going to be exactly right? No. You're pretending to be someone who is a representation of thousands of people within a market. You've never met Bob. But you're going to be close enough. All right? Now you know who Bob really is. Now you know what Bob really wants. Okay? So, remember when I was given all my weird ethereal sounding stuff, saying, when you meet someone and you have this connection with them and you don't even know why, but you really feel bonded to them and you like them and they like you and you feel like there'd be no convincing or arm twisting with anything involving you guys? When you do this now, you're speaking from your core to Bob's core. Okay? So here's the real Bob. I think you should also know that when I came up with who Bob was, I did it years ago, and it was by no means any insult to this ideal person. There's nothing wrong with making $45,000 a year or wearing brown leather shoes or whatever. I'm not trying to say Bob sucks and should be taken advantage of or anything like that. All right? Here's the real Bob. Bing! Just notice that behind the back? Pretty good. Real Bob, significantly afraid of loss and embarrassment. In my market, right? Significantly afraid of loss and embarrassment, but does not want to openly admit it. Bob's typically male, and us fellas don't like to admit that we're scared of stuff. We're scared to. We're afraid to admit that we're afraid of stuff. Bob wants a lifestyle more than things. Bob wants significance and contribution more than bling. Significance and contribution. Big drivers, by the way. Bob wants respect and credibility. And Bob wants to be young again. That's the real Bob. So remember when I showed you the results of selling to Bob on the surface-to-surface basis before I really got to know Bob? Before I became a weird psychotic stalker and pretended to be Bob? Once I started figuring out who Bob was, the first thing I tried to sell was the serializer system. $1 million from 100 customers. Got to keep it all. No affiliates, no big list, no big fancy launch. Nothing. This one sort of counts. I faked it with the Neil Strauss launch because I'm not in that market at all. And I can't really step into the shoes that much of the guy trying to pick up women, and it doesn't really speak from my core to their core because it kind of weirds me out a little bit. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it's just I got daughters, man, you know? So part of me is like, here's how you should pick up girls, but if you ever do this with one of my daughters, I promise you I will draw you and quarter you. You know, so it's like, not really working out that well. But it still worked out pretty good, $1.4 million. Now that I have a better understanding of what Neil Strauss actually teaches, or what Neil Strauss actually teaches, and what that's all about, I think I could do a much better job of that. But still, as an experiment, because I would like to say publicly that that's not what his product is about, and that's not what he's about at all. He's a genuinely good, caring person. So 1.4 million ain't so bad, though. First time, incidentally, anyone had ever tried to do a big fancy launch outside of internet marketing, right? So only works in internet marketing. Okay, let's see. All right. Hit the nail on the head with StomperNet. Damn, I didn't even want to do it. 18.3 million bucks. I'm the guy that wrote all that stuff. You know, I'm the one that scripted those videos. I'm the guy that made the markets fall in love with Brad and Andy. It's me. 18.3 million smackers. Pretty good. Pipeline profits, $3.1 million. Mass control, which I just launched a bunch. 400 billion zillion dollars. The refund periods aren't over yet, and I don't want to jinx myself, you know. But a lot worked. It exceeded my expectations, actually, dramatically. It was also the easiest one I've ever done. Strange. So you get this down, remember I said effortless influence, effortless income? It's easy. Experiment began, unknowingly, in September of 2005, which is right around 2.5 years. Remember what I did on the surface level when I just did the empathy thing, and around $2 million bucks. Now it's around $31 million. Works. Very strange, right? I know lots of people are like, okay, we're going to find out what the best subject line is today. It works. Do it. So, after I made this long, protracted, obviously strange presentation for you, it occurred to me that it had absolutely nothing to do with the stuff that the sales letter for this event talks about. And I worked myself into a bit of a panic because it was too late to change everything, mainly because it was this morning when I was reading the actual sales letter. And I was like, holy shit, I'm not supposed to talk about this stuff at all. So I know that folks might still be thinking, okay, that's really cool and everything, but what do I do and say specifically to people to get them to buy my stuff? Am I going okay on time, incidentally? Fellas? Are you saying, am I getting the signals for yes or no? I'm getting the no signal. So I'll speak quickly. Here's the deal. Every piece of marketing that you do, every single thing you do matters. Every single thing you do, say, think, or write to your market matters. Everything. Does every single thing you say to your market matter? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, good. Well, you know, I can say things like this to my children. I'll be like, don't draw on the wall, and it comes out wrong because they still draw it. So I want to make sure that it's not me, you know. It always needs to validate their core identity and move them closer to it. So if you look back at my most successful launch, perhaps not monetarily, but at least with greatest of ease, and I got to keep a lot of the money this time, which was nice, it was the mass control launch, which I just recently did. If you go back and look at the marketing materials, which you can find on my blog, frankkern.com, you will notice that throughout the marketing, money was talked about very little in terms of you're going to make a bunch of money with this, right? I didn't go out and say you're going to make millions of dollars. I used that big $23.8 million figure to get people's attention. Sometimes you need to get attention on the surface level, right? Bam, hey, surface level attention, money, Jesus, I got to look at this guy. But then went straight to the core. once I had the attention. Okay, so every single piece of marketing in that launch addressed the core. It had pictures of me at the beach. I talked about living at the beach. I talked about my family. I had pictures of my children on my computers and the video. It was all about significance and contribution that the market could make in their marketplace, how they could build a better life, how they could communicate more effectively for good. Not about the money. Every single piece addressed that core identity and was written to them, right? What was the other thing I had on there? And it moves them closer to it. So right, moves them closer to it with results in advance. So you can't just talk about it and paint the pretty picture. Every single piece of marketing that you give actually has to help people. Imagine. That's just patently ridiculous, but it does. Damn it. It does anyway, right? So if you'll look, every single piece of marketing that I gave out was not clever salesmanship, was not awesome copy or well-produced video or anything. It's just me being a regular dude helping people out. You need to build a list? Here's how you build a list, okay? You want to learn how to communicate effectively and not be obnoxious? Here's some tips you could do, right? Bam. By the way, my stuff's pretty good. Think you might like it. Maybe you could buy it. It was the whole message. Results in advance. You can move someone closer to their goal in your marketing. Every single step that you move them on that timeline to their desired outcome, every time you move them closer by helping them, their desire to buy your stuff increases, as does your credibility. And it goes up exponentially with every single step. Cool? And I think I better wrap it up with the last point before I get shot at by the video dudes back there. The results in advance list favor technique beach video. That was a weird sounding line. If you look at my blog, you'll see my marketing stuff. You'll see there's a video that shows people how to build a list. That's results in advance. I give people a technique which shows them how to get more money out of their market by doing them a big favor and them asking them a favor in return. Results in advance. Immediately applicable stuff that they can do now. The beach video, which was aptly entitled Naked Dudes Playing Volleyball or something like that, was speaking to their core identity because it showed me on a journey to the beach. I ended up at the beach, all right? All core identity. And finally, sometimes to avoid seeming like you're patronizing people, you can't come out and say this is what you're probably thinking to a market because no one wants to be told what we're probably thinking over and over again. After a while, you're like, dude, you don't know what I'm thinking, shut up, right? It's normal. So sometimes you have to borrow their voice and let someone else be their voice. In this case, if you look on the blog and see my marketing, you'll see a case study with a guy named Goher Chowdhury. He is another internet marketing dude who interviewed me. He borrowed the voice of the market and said, when I saw this, I thought it was hype. What's the difference between this and manipulation? Why is this so good? And he basically grilled me. So he borrowed the voice of the market, essentially. He spoke for them in a true and congruent manner. And that is it. I think I have to wrap up. Sorry. Gotta go. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, give Frank a big hand.